Let's talk about Vegas. All right. So I went to my first ever bachelor party for my friend Jake, who I've talked about on the Yard podcast before, who's getting married this year, which is crazy to me that people around me are getting married. But I am realizing that I am fucking old and everybody's getting married these days. And Jake did the very conventional bachelor party location of good old Las Vegas, Nevada. I did not lose my ID. All right, this is not like the old Las Vegas story where I lost my ID. I had my ID. Now, look, I'm a bit of a busy beaver because I have to open up my daycare for you chuckle fucks a few times a week. So I ended up only going from Friday to Sunday morning. I basically went for 2 nights. Everybody else went there from Wednesday to Sunday night, but I was there for about half the time because well, you guys, hello. It was fun hanging out on Friday. So anyway, I'm going to Vegas for a bachelor party, first ever bachelor party, but there's one other crinkle in all of this. Even with a lot of success I've had on YouTube, I only bring $1,000 to gamble. That's the maximum amount. And when I say gamble, I mean like blackjack or roulette. I'm not talking about like the poker things that I've done in the past. And this is because when I used to go back like 5 years ago with Slime, I only had $1,000. And I would like to bring my full $1,000 because it made the rush of gambling so much higher, knowing that I wouldn't be able to pay for rent if I lost. And I'll never really be able to achieve that again, because if I do that now, then I won't be able to pay 15 employees out, which I'm not willing to risk. Unfortunately, I'm not willing to risk 15 employees pay for a little bit of a rush. But back in the day, that's what I used to do. This is not a good thing, by the way. I would not do this, but this is what I used to do. So anyway, things were different this time because I didn't bring $1,000. I had a little more than $1,000 this time because I didn't have to pull the money out. Because fortunately, I played a poker game and Alan Keating generously donated about $300,000 to me. And so I was up about $400K just a week ago. And 100,000 of those dollars were given to me in cash, straight up. So I had 100,000 in cash. The rest was all luckily sent through a check, so I couldn't actually gamble it. But the 100K was real. How much of the 100K do you think I brought to Las Vegas? You guys have such little faith in me. No, I did not bring, I didn't, to be fair, I spent about $15,000. So I don't even have before I even went to Vegas. The moment I won, I went to my favorite restaurant and I tipped them $5,000, and then I went to the people who clean my house and I gave them $5,000, and then I gave Jake $5,000 for his wedding, and that's what I spent all my money on. But I brought the remaining. I brought about $50,000. Which, can I say, by the way, I understand that is over a year's salary for a lot of people. That is a shit ton of money. I put it in my bag like I was a drug dealer. And I walked around the airport with a slightly elevated heart rate. I probably had a heart rate that was equivalent to you guys in chat as opposed to my normal athletic heart rate. So I have $50,000. I got myself a hotel room. I got a flight on Southwest because it's very convenient and it's easy to board. The boarding process is much easier. And I made my way over to Vegas. And the moment I landed, I realized how ridiculous it was to have $50,000 in cash because I showed all the other groomsmen and they all laughed at me collectively. They just laughed at me. All right. But I had a plan. My plan was very simple. All right. I was going to spin the $50,000 up to $100,000 and then get matching watches for me, Atrioc, and all the other groomsmen at Atrioc's wedding ahead of time. That was my plan going in. And just to paint a little picture, the moment I landed, all of my friends, Jake and everybody, were Ubering to the casino that we were staying at. We were staying at the Venetian. And I got there early. And so I sat down at a roulette table. And in the 10 minutes it took for them to Uber over, I lost $3,000. So, it didn't start out great. But that's okay. That's okay. Because these things happen and things go down and things go up again. Things go down and that's okay because that's the circle of life. But what I started to notice is because I was gambling a lot of money, waitresses come up to me a lot and they were offering me free drinks. And every time they offered me a free drink, I said, hell yeah, could I get a whiskey ginger? And they said, yes. And they got it to me within like 5 minutes. And I was like, that's cool. And that kept happening, like a lot. I got like 10 free drinks. That's like probably $200 of free drinks. But this weird thing kept happening where the more I was drinking, the more I was gambling. And so I started, I don't know if this was a conspiracy theory, to make worse and worse decisions. And I only had about a third of the total amount of money on me. But when I woke up in the morning and I counted all the dollar bills, throughout the evening, I had lost about $20,000. Again, I would like to reiterate, I do understand these are huge swaths of money. The only reason I was able to compartmentalize and accept that this was okay is every time I would lose money, I would say out loud, "Thank you, Phil Hellmuth. Appreciate that, Alan Keating." And that's how it didn't feel bad. I would just say that. And then the dealer would be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But that was my strategy. Now, here's how it works when I go to Vegas and I gamble. I gamble money, I lose at the start, and then I spend the rest of the trip trying to make back the money I originally lost. The most dangerous thing you can ever do in Vegas is chase losses. The most fun I ever have in Vegas is chasing losses. So it's a pretty bad combination that I succumb to. Immediately, I sit down. I have about $30,000 total at a blackjack table. But I start to notice things. Like, for example, the blackjack table we were sitting at had 6 to 5 odds if you hit a blackjack. If you get an ace and a 10, you get 6 to 5 payout. But I remember other tables being 3 to 2. I was like, that's weird. Also, the tables, rather than having like 6 decks of cards or maybe even 2 decks of cards, have an automatic shuffler where you put the cards into this machine and they constantly shuffle the cards so that you can never get a true knowledge of what cards have been shown and what cards haven't been shown. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And the side bets are worse value too. And after betting on that table, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, the dealer finally leans over to me and he basically tells me, he's like, "Yo, if you have this much money that you're playing with, you should go to the high roller room because it is better odds." I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, there are worse odds in Las Vegas for people with less money. They rig the games so that you are more likely to lose if you have less money. And if you have more money, you are more likely to win. The system is inherently built so the rich get richer." And I was like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, go to the roulette table. You'll see." Now, you guys might have heard of roulette. You probably know even that there are 2 types of roulette. Single zero roulette, which is not very popular. It's more European. And double zero roulette. They have triple zero in Las Vegas now. Only on the main floor at the lowest buy-ins. 3 zeros. Just taking an extra 2% for the casino. Already making tens of millions of dollars in an hour. They're taking another additional couple percent from just the people at the lowest level of play. So when I went into the high roller room, because he told me to go there, I went with my friends and they just watched me. They have 3 to 2 payout for blackjack. So it pays out better. They had 2 deck blackjack, meaning there are only 104 cards, meaning it is super easy to count. Now, I don't know how to count, but if I did, I could count and make a lot more money. So I sit down at that blackjack table and I'm playing for a while. After about an hour, I have $20,000. So I have $20,000 left for my original $50,000. And I make my way out of the high roller room because we want to just play and drink and hang out and have a good time. And if you guys have never been to Vegas, I'm going to give you a tip right now. If you want to make a lot of money in a short amount of time, but you don't mind getting really, really upset, you play blackjack. If you want to make a lot of money, but you don't mind losing it and you don't want to think, you play roulette. If you don't care about making money, but you want to have a good time and get free drinks because you're gambling, you play Pai Gow. Pai Gow is a game where you have 2 hands, a high hand and a low hand, and you have to win both to win money or lose both to lose money. Most of the time, you just end up pushing. You go even. Nothing happens. You can sit there for an hour and lose $0 and gain $0. That's just how Pai Gow works. So that's where we go. So it's me, my 3 other friends, and we are alone at a table, and we're playing for a while, and then this guy comes to sit down. And I notice he has like a shit ton of money. And he's playing with like maybe $50. But he has like $2,000 behind. And he's playing really slow. And we're all kind of having a good time. We're shooting the shit with the dealer. But the guy looks over at me. And he's like, You're Ludwig, right? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. He's like, oh shit, dude, I saw your poker stream the other day. Dude, that was a sick stream. I was like, oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Random as hell. And we start shooting the shit. And the guy starts to say a little more about himself. He's like, yeah, I'm actually like a voice actor in LA. And I'm like, that's cool. Is that where you get all the money from? Because I'm a little bit drunk. I'm asking personal questions. He's like, oh, no. That's because I'm a sports gambler in Vegas. I'm like, what? What do you mean? He's like, oh, yeah, no, that's what I do on the side is I do sports. I do both. And I live in LA and then I fly out to Vegas and I do sports bets. And at first, part of my brain, I'm a very cynical person. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, everybody kind of big dicks himself, and be like, oh, I'm cool. I do this, I do that. I make money here, I make money there. Because he was saying things that were like, it felt unreal. He was like, yeah, I made so much money, I got banned from like MGM. I'm not even allowed in anymore because I made too much money. They don't let me sports gamble there. And like, I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of crazy. But I'm still not buying it. I'm like, this guy is full of shit. And finally, he goes to me. He's like, Ludwig, how much money have you lost or made on this trip? Sheepishly, I reply, well, I walked in with $50K because I won the poker event. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember that. He's like, and I'm down. I've lost about 30,000. Without missing a beat, he says, oh, okay. Have they comped you a bit for that? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, yeah. I mean, if you spend a lot of money, usually you get like a little rake back. I was like, what? He's like, wait, you don't know what I'm talking about? Who's your host? I'm like, what the fuck is a host? What are you saying to me? And he starts to explain this deep underbelly that I have never known that exists in Las Vegas. And it's all revolving around hosts. You know how I was telling you that the rich get richer and they get better tables? That's not where it ends. In Las Vegas, every single casino hires several hosts. These people work directly for the casino. So he makes a call. He's like, yeah, give me a second. He calls this guy. He's like, yo, Joel, come down here. I need you to meet someone. 5 minutes later, I shit you not, this nervous-seeming man comes down. He kind of looks like the guy with the stapler from Office Space, very mild-mannered. And the guy I met, the voice actor, is like, yeah, anyway, Joel, like this guy, can you explain to him what a host is? And I discovered that if you spend a lot of money in Las Vegas, you can get a host who will give you a free flight, a free hotel room, a free limo ride to and from the airport, free food. He told me privately that he was being given $10,000 by the casino to gamble with, and that if he lost more, they would give him some money back. They give money back. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, well, if I lose like a lot of money and they see it on my card, they'll give me like, maybe like 20% back or something like that to gamble with a little more. I never fucking knew about this. I bought my own hotel room. I bought my flight on Southwest, and I lost $30,000 by just gambling at tables with terrible odds because I didn't know. So I asked Joel, I say, hey, can you give me money back? And he says, no, you already spent it. I don't need to. I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. He's like, I can give you a ride to the airport. And I was like, okay, cool, fair enough. Yeah, that's great. I would love a ride to the airport. Ubers are quite expensive these days. Joel leaves. I find out about this whole host service. And the guy I met very kindly connects me with his host. He has a host in every casino on the strip. So the guy comes to Las Vegas for like 2 weeks. And he will get like $5,000 from every casino. And he will stay at one of the casinos he wants to. Now, all of this is being told to me, but I'm thinking to myself, like I still don't think this guy is like a good gambler. Like, you can't be a good gambler, right? You either like take the inherent risk losing and occasionally win or occasionally lose. You can't be good at gambling. You can just be lucky and play somewhat smart, but you always are going to be losing. And so that's what I kind of conveyed at the table. We're playing at the Pai Gow table still. He's like, you're wrong. How much money do you have left? I'm like, oh, 20K. He's like, come with me. We go back to the high roller room. Me, him, and all my other friends watching. And we sit down at a table, and I proceed to act like a sim for the next 2 hours. And he tells me everything to do. I know how to play blackjack. I know when to hit. I know when to stand. I know when to surrender. I know it. Sometimes I play a little dumb, but I know all of it. But I was listening to not only when to stay and when to hit. I was also listening to how much to bet. He was in my ear. So he'd be like, bet 500. I'd be like, yes, sir. Bet 1,500 this hand. Yes, sir. Bet 2,000 this hand. Yes, sir. And I did it for every single hand. Is this allowed? No. Several times they said only one person per hand. But when you're in the high roller room, if you're not winning too much money, then they don't stop you. And every time, he was actually kind of sneaky about it. Because every time they would start to suss him out, he'd be like, I'm drunk. Can I get another drink? Implying that he was drinking, getting drunk, having fun, not counting. Secretly, he was counting the entire time. So we're going through, and I have 20,000, and it's like, we go up like 1,000. We go up 2,000, 3, 4, 5,000. Eventually, we get into one of the craziest hands. I have an 11, 8, 3, and the dealer has a 9. I have $10,000 on the bet. I do not have enough money to double, but I specifically left $5,000 in my room in my hotel so I wouldn't gamble it. So I'd at least walk away home with something. I asked the floor, right? The people there. I'm like, hey, can I go to my room to get my money? And she's like, no, sir, you may not because there is another man at the table. And this was the most alpha thing I've ever seen. It was his father who I had taken a picture with because he said his kid might have watched me because his kid played that game or whatever that starts with League on the computers. 0% chance his kid knows me. He plays League of Legends. But if your son is watching, how's it going? If your father's name is Jason, your father was very nice. Giga Chad, he picks up his chips and he goes, I'm not playing. So what are we worried about? And the floor just sits there dumbfounded. And my friend runs upstairs because I'm not allowed to leave my seat and runs downstairs with my $5,000. I have $20,000 in on the hand. If I win this, I have an opportunity to be at $40,000. If I lose this, I will be at $0. The voice actor the entire time was coaxing me. He was like, don't worry, man. This is going to be good. I know it. The count's great, allegedly. The dealer flips over a 4, 13, and then a 6, 19. Now, here's the thing. When I double down, I ask for the card face down. It's a really stressful thing that you can do, but it basically means you do not know what your hand is. It means I have an 11, and then I have a card that I do not know. The dealer had a 19, which means I can only win with a 9 or a 10. I wish we filmed this, but the dealer slowly flips over. Bang! Jack! Everybody collectively loses their shit. I sprint out of the casino, I run around, and I come back in. I got in trouble because they couldn't finish the hand because I wasn't at the table. $40,000 hand. Immediately, my mind is on cloud 9. My endorphins are racing. I am pogging out of my mind. Jason and I are high-fiving. Me and the dealer are losing it. I tip the dealer like I'm goddamn Mr. Beast. And I think to myself, I'm only 10K away from going even, baby. I'm going to make all my money back and then some. The voiceover guy's like, yeah, listen to me. We can make it up real quick. And I say, no, listen to me, buddy. We're going to win this real quick. And I bet $10,000 on 2 hands at once because you can play multi-hands. And I get fucking 10, 10, 8, 7, 18 and a 7. Fucking great hands. Dealer flips at 20. I instantly lose. I'm like, whatever. Don't worry about this. I got it. I put $20,000 in one hand. Dealer flips a blackjack. And I lost $40,000 in 2 hands. I went from top of the world to $0 in 2 hands. Technically 3. The voice actor guy just starts laughing at me. He's like, bro, you're crazy, but that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I search my wallet for money. I open it up like a cartoon wallet goes. I'm checking all my pockets. I'm like, do I have anything left? Where the fuck is my money? and I feel in my breast pocket a little crinkle of paper. I pop off, I pull it out. Inside the paper was a sports bet I made that I forgot about. It wasn't cash, but you see, I'd been betting on sports games the entire night, and my roommate from college, Josh, messaged me that I should take the Warriors against the Grizzlies. It's a guaranteed win. And I put $2,000 on, and I didn't even realize, but I won. I had $4,000. The sports guy sees it, and he goes, oh, dude, there's a really easy bet you can make if you want a quick $2,000 more. There's a tennis game happening later today. You should take Alcaraz. There's a 100% chance he wins. And he deadass says to me, bro, you got to take Alcaraz versus Zverev. And I said, is this a fucking WoW expansion? What are you talking about? He's like, dude, just listen to me. It's a free 2,000. I'm like, okay. So I give him the slip, and he makes the bet. Now, the game happened at like 9 a.m. I went to bed at 6 a.m. I woke up at 11. When I woke up to a text, and he said, congratulations, man. You got 6K more, or you got 6K now. So the 2,000 turned to 4,000 because the Warriors game, and then 6,000 because the tennis game. And again, this whole time I was a little bit wary of the guy. You know, that's why I went on my own and I bet the $40,000 because I was like, gambling's gambling. You can't do anything. You don't have any skill. It's all luck. But when he won me the tennis match, I was like, maybe this guy's on a something. Maybe this guy's figured a little something out. But I had to leave Las Vegas to come here. I had my flight scheduled. And right before I left, I give the guy my $6,000 because he said to me, I can double this by the end of the day. So I gave a random stranger that I met the night before who recognized me from a poker match $6,000 with zero confirmation or contracts or anything because he told me he could maybe double it. It sounds kind of dumb. The first bet he made was on a baseball game. He bet there'd be a run on the first inning of a Braves game. Crazy shit. And I just get a text while I'm in the line at the airport, and he's like, you're up $1,000. I'm like, cool. That's random. 7,000. He messages me a screenshot and he's like, yo, we're going Mavericks to be ahead after the first quarter. I'm like, cool. I'm on the plane. I get a text. You're up $1,300, $2,600 now. You're up $2,300. I'm like, okay, wow. That's crazy. By the time the plane lands, I get a text. He turned the $6,000 into $12,000 before my plane fucking landed. Boys, it's a 45-minute flight. Now this is where I might have gotten scammed. Because what happened next was he sends me a message. He goes, dude, bad news. I'm like, no. What happened? Did we lose it all? He's like, no. But right after you left, there was a giant sandstorm in Las Vegas and all of the sports gambling is closed. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, unfortunately, I can't make any more bets unless you happen to send me some Bitcoin. Chad, I sent him $10,000 in Bitcoin 90 minutes ago, and I haven't heard from him. Should I call him right now? Let me call him and see. Let me just call him and see. Hold up, he's answering.
Yeah, good.
Hello, Mr. Gambler, man.
What's up?
Okay, everyone in my chat is telling me I got scammed.
Okay, all right.
What bets have you made over the past hour?
Past hour, all right. So we have the Dodgers minus 3.5. They're up 5-1 right now in the bottom of the 8th. We have
for how much money?
So that one was to win 1,000. So we bet $1,250 to win 1,000. The other one is the game that's going on right now, the Heat game. We got the over 48.5 points for the third quarter.
Miami.
Yes. It's just so altogether right now you're up like 3K on the Bitcoin side, but after these games end and once we are able to cash out the regular tickets, you'll be up around like 18,000.
Can I just give you my bank account login?
No, I want you to earn my trust fairly. So I want you to see this and receive your money first before we go any further.
Okay, can you admit that I'm actually kind of a good gambler on par with you?
You know what? Other than the fact that you went crazy.
Don't have to bring
on
it.
blackjack.
Don't have to. No, you don't got to bring. We kind of glaze over the blackjack. You don't really got to bring that up. It's not really a big deal. We just kind of glaze over. It wasn't a big deal. We didn't lose that much. It was fine.
Okay. You know, 40K isn't that much. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I would say you're a pretty good gambler.
Yeah.
You listen. That's the thing.
Yeah, I was like a fucking sim, and you were controlling me, and you just click on me, and then you would click the number, and I would just do it.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, man. Like, you would have been up so much freaking money if you just didn't, you know, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, a little bit of details there. That's all we need for now. Anyway, thank you so much. Keep me updated.
Hey, yeah, no, I got you. And I'll send you a screenshot right now so that way, I mean, if you want to show your chat or anything like that.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, talk to you later. Bye.
I think that guy's legit. How is that possible? Well, anyway, that's where we end now, chat. I don't think I got scammed. And that's all I got, boys. I got to head out. Just want to do that little story. Hopefully it's entertaining. By the way, if I come off like an absolutely jaded, rich, pompous douchebag, I apologize. I do understand that these are giant swaths of money that are people's annual salary and aren't supposed to be talked about so lightly, but I thought it was interesting enough. And hopefully the entertainment of the story counteracts perhaps that feeling.